Hello and welcome to Maltbox, the non-chill filtered whisky blog. I'm Andy and this is whisky review number 82. This is the first of two reviews that I'll be posting this week. I did reach out on Twitter and apologise for my lack of review last week. Unfortunately, next door had a party on the night that I started recording and I had to basically just delete them all because all you could hear was Ariana Grande in the background and nobody needs that, do they? So, what I have for you today as part of whisky review number 82 is a blended malt Scotch whisky, and it comes in the form of this. That's quite thrusty, wasn't it? This Shackleton, Mackinlay's Shackleton to be exact, which is not actually bottled by a whisky company as such called Mackinlay's. It's actually bottled by Whyte Mackay. Mackinlay's is a very well-known name in Scotch whisky. It's been around for donkeys and donkeys and donkeys years, but now the brand itself is basically owned by Whyte Mackay. They're using it to bottle the Shackleton range. Now I say the range, there has been one previous release of Shackleton blended malt whisky, and that's quite an interesting one. That was back in 2013, and that came about, and this sort of plays a part in the background to this whisky as well. Should we start with the name? Shackleton is named after famous British explorer Ernest Shackleton, who basically on his exploration trip, his adventure to the South Pole in 1907, he actually took with him 25 cases of Mackinlay's whisky. And in 2007, so 100 years later, basically a expedition team that visited his site, their base of operations in the South Pole that they actually abandoned, they discovered 11 intact bottles of that whisky. How amazing is that? It's been there for 100 years and they just found it lying there in the ice. Anyway, they thawed it out, and Richard the Nose Patterson at Whyte Mackay basically worked it back, and they used a lot of pretty cool rinky-dinks in the background to sort of establish what was in the base makeup and the flavour profile. I think there's some whisky from Glenmore in there, which is no longer around, and they basically recreated that in 2013 to try and make an accurate-ish depiction of what that whisky would have tasted like, which is really cool. It's very difficult to get hold of nowadays. There was quite a bit of it at the time, I guess, but it was sold for about 100 quid a bottle, but it's very hard to find now. And basically what they've actually then gone on and done now is release this, which is not the same, I'll be honest, not the same kind of calibre, not the same sort of price point. Mackinlay's Shackleton blended malt whisky. Very, very pretty bottle, I must say. I do quite like the branding, which isn't something I generally play a lot of focus on. But on the back of the bottle, it's a specially designed and inscribed bottle. I believe it is in our nature to explore, to reach out into the unknown, by Ernest Shackleton. Nice quote there, just to get you in the mood. I picked this up from Amazon, behemoth of retail, Amazon, for £20. The official RRP is 40, so you can imagine I saw it and I was like, I'll take a punt, it's 20 quid. I will be moving away from the punting, I think, over the next 12 months. I'm going to be investing more in sort of potentially more higher end kind of stuff. I don't know, I need to see how it plays out. But what I want to try and keep doing is give a bit of a balance for you guys, because these are the things that a lot of people will have access to. And I mean, it's on Amazon. Everyone's got access to Amazon. Everyone loves Amazon-ish, apart from the employees, which I totally understand. I do not condone Amazon's behaviour, by the way, or tax evasion. So it's 20 quid anyway. It's just 20 quid. And I thought, you know what, I've never tried it before, it's blended malt, let's give it a go. Let's give it a go, see what it's like. So it's bottled at 40%, it will be chill filtered, I believe it's got colouring added. It's very difficult for me to show you the colour in this whisky in the bottle, because the whisky bottle has actually got a blue tint to it, as you can see there. So I should probably show it in the glass instead, so there you go. So the chances are there's some colouring in there, I'll be honest with you. It's a no age statement whisky, 40%, it'll have some colouring in there, no doubt, to aid sales, I imagine. So, should we see what it's got on the nose? Quite prickly for 40%. what I think what I'll say from the off, and I don't necessarily mean this in a bad way, this is very much a White and Mackay whisky. They seem to have this kind of profile, and I find it across some supermarket malts that are bottled by White and Mackay. They have a kind of consistent flavour profile and pattern, and you can stick your nose in it and you probably know after trying a few different whiskies over God knows how many years, you start to get to identify certain characteristics of their blending style and the component sort of makeup. Now this, whilst I've said yeah it's a bit prickly, it's got a lot of toffee, not caramel, so it's not light and very sugary, it's just toffee, very deep, almost treacle toffee, which is toffee made with treacle, which comes in a little red tin. You've got kind of like a biscuity vibe there, think like hobnobs or digestive biscuits. And might be a bit of citrus in there in the background somewhere. A little bit musty. And then there's some ginger, like crystallised ginger, you know, the little cubes. Crystallised ginger, you can get the sweets. Candied ginger. It's pleasant. It is pleasant. I think, funnily enough, I mean, the weather here in the north of England at the minute is absolutely shocking. It's a shambles, actually. It's windy, it's hailstoning. When it stops, I take my hood down and my umbrella down, and it starts raining into my eyes. It's not nice. It's really not nice. And I think this is the kind of whiskey that you can imagine that you'd need. Maybe not of a cold evening, but I think maybe a cold mid-afternoon, if I'm being honest with you. It's got a bit of a lighter, and don't get me wrong, those are kind of like heavy flavour profiles that I intimated to you just then, but I think it's got a bit of a lighter style. I said at the start it's a bit prickly. It's quite light, it's not heavy, it's not intense. All of those flavours that are going on there are very much whispers of each other. So on the palate, let's see what it's got. Surprisingly, quite a thick mouthfeel, quite a good mouthfeel, which I wasn't expecting. I've had this bottle now for about, what, 3 weeks? And as you can see, I mean, I've made a fair dent in it, you know, I mean, I think I quickly discovered it's not a, I might as well get it out of the way halfway through the review. I don't think this is going to be a whiskey that you can sit down with for hours. I'll be honest, I don't think there's enough to it. However, it's quite a nice sipper, if I'm honest. Rocks glass rather than a whatever this is, or a Glencairn. And I think it's just one of those that you can just sit back and not think too much about. And with that in mind, on the palate, I got more ginger. I got that malty, biscuity base like the bottom of a cheesecake, ergo digestive biscuits again. There is that hint of citrus there, and there's also kind of like an icing sugar note as well, so like homemade icing, you know, drizzle icing sort of stuff. I don't know what you call that, my wife would know, but I can't remember. The kind of stuff you put on a lemon drizzle. Probably drizzle, come to think of it. And it's got maybe a little bit of black pepper towards the end, but not much. There's not much of a kick, there's not much of a punch. The finish is pretty much over before it starts, if I'm being honest with you. There's not much to write home about there from a finish point of view. It's a bit like a party that lasts about 30 seconds. Not even that, 15 probably, to be fair. Everyone comes in, has a quick drink, and then they all run out your back door again and go off into the night. It had promise. I think it's just let down a little bit, possibly by its components rather than its presentation to some degree, because I think the presentation, 40% chill filtration, added colour. I mean, let's face it, White Mackay is quite standard in a lot of their range. I'm not too sure what actually makes this up, if I'm being honest with you. I have tried to look into it and I can't find much out. It's very sweet, straight off the bat, very sweet. Maybe some golden syrup actually. I know I mentioned treacle toffee already, but there's a definite Lion's golden syrup note there. Cloyingly sweet. whisper of smoke maybe, actually, going into the finish now. What little finish there is, which is a little bit drying, a little bit bitter. So, I mean, overall, yeah, it's whiskey. It's a nice. It is nice. I think that's the thing. You can tell I'm struggling with this guy. I think this is one that I wanted to like more than I do. I think again the branding's nice, but again I don't really give marks for branding because I don't give two shits about that. I actually care what's in the bottle. And in this particular instance, I think the bottle well, what's in the bottle? RRP of 40 quid. I would not pay 40 quid for it. 20 quid. It's quite good for 20 quid. If I'm being honest, I prefer it to the Glencairn single malt from Tesco, the now infamous Glencairn single malt. However, I do think that it probably could have been a little bit better. I don't think necessarily strength would have assisted it because it does have a nice mouthfeel again, I have mentioned that. And there are some nice flavour profiles in there, but it just needs a little something. It needs a little bit more. And I can't quite put my finger on what it is, it's just not quite there for me. But again, I want to keep reviewing this kind of price point whiskey for you guys as well as the higher end stuff, because at the end of the day, again, they are accessible, they are affordable, and a lot of the time they are very good. A £20, £25, £30 whiskey is nothing to turn your nose about, providing it's made well, it provides quality for your money. Because in this current economy, Brexit, dare I say that word, and the general global clusterfuck that's currently going on, you know, people holding on to the money, and I completely get that. I'm very similar, and you need to be careful about what you're spending it on. You don't want to be wasting it on things you're not enjoying. Life's too short not to enjoy something. Life is too short to drink bad whiskey. So with that in mind, I'm going to give the Mackinlay Shackleton a score of 3 out of 10. I think if this had a school report, it would read a lot like mine used to. Must try harder. Thanks very much for watching. See you soon.